Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Well, welcome back. I just want to say a few words about our teacher. We're very fortunate to have a man with many varied experiences, and a mentor of Jack Cornfield for many years, a monk in Burma, very deep. And he's been coming to GPF for years now. And so it's really an honor to have you on our retreat. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. All right. So, blessings, good evening. Can everyone hear me easily? Yeah? In the back and all the places? Great. We're old style, without amplification. There were stories of the Buddha sitting in the forest and speaking, and people like hundreds of yards away, and easily hearing his voice. So
what?
Exactly. I still have a ways to go, clearly. But as we go through the week, if I get in the meditation trance and it all gets really quiet, feel free to give me a little turn it up from the back, and I will do that. So, in a more formal way, hi, it's good to meet you. I'm Sean Feit Oakes. I use pronouns he and him. They is fine. I live up in Occidental now, in western Sonoma County, and that's the ancestral land of the Southern Pomo peoples. Gratitude to those peoples for their tending of that land for so long. And as Jeff said, I've had the pleasure of visiting GBF many times, a bunch of times at the Bartlett Street space, and then since the grand calamity online. And it's not as easy to come into the space now that I live further away, but this is really a pleasure, and so gratitude to GBF for organizing, for inviting me. I've also never been on a queer retreat before. I'm queer myself. I'm married to a woman. I have lovers of many genders, and so we are poly and bi, and float in that realm of mysterious kind of invisible queerness, and figuring out how to live in that way, in an expansive way. I have a kiddo who's 8 and named River. He's a delight, and a little cat named Poppy. And I miss all of them already. So I primarily am teaching within, and will teach you from the basis of the insight meditation tradition. I'll say a little bit about that lineage in a little bit. First, as we open the container of our retreat with this beautiful ceremony, seeing each other, feeling and our hearts together, seeing eyes, hearing everyone's intention, I'm going to bring a couple more forces into the room that are here to support us, and who we are here to offer our gratitude to and support. The first of those is the recognition that we are on the ancestral lands of multiple indigenous peoples, including the Amamutsun and the Muwekma and the Awaswas people. Some of these are related to the Ohlone people, who in many different tribal groups and languages have tended the land around the Bay Area. essentially since time immemorial, for many, 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 many thousands of years. And they are still here, tending land, taking care of their community and the surrounding communities. And so I encourage you to make a relationship with the indigenous peoples who tend the land that you live on, and know what's happening, and realize that any of us who are not of indigenous heritage here in North America, that we are relatively recent settlers here, and that settling process has not been peaceful or consensual. And so coming into Dharma practice, we come into the practice of realness, of being real with all of the conditions that mark our lives and that create this moment. And among those conditions is the long process that began in the colonial period and continues. And we all participate, whether we agree with that process or not. So in a more formal way, just an honoring to the peoples who have tended this land for so long, to the ancestors of those peoples, and a bow to the harms of the colonial process, and the intention to do better as our generations roll forward with the world as it is now. The ancestors of this land, of course, are not just human, but are animals of all kinds. And in the Buddhist tradition, we understand that there are beings present that are not just living in this lifetime in the human and animal bodies, but that carry spirit bodies, bodies of various natural forces. And I want to open our retreat and deepen this acknowledgement of the land with a traditional invocation from the Thai tradition. This is an invocation of the natural forces that surround us, and it's an invitation to the devas. Devas is the Pali and Sanskrit word for spirit beings, or immaterial beings, divine beings, you might say, who are all around us. So I'll chant it first, and then I'll read it in English. And if you like, this can be our opening meditation. You can spread your attention out from this room to the forest around us, the waters, the trees, the air, the mountains, and understand that we are here in the web of all of it, and that all of it is alive and sentient and listening. And in this tradition, there's the understanding that many of the devas really love the Dhamma. They love the teachings of wisdom, and so they gather around to hear them and to support practitioners. Samanta Chakavalesu Atragajantu Devata Sadammang Muni Rajasa Sunantu Sagamo Kadam Sage Kame Charupe Giri Sikaratate Chantali Kawe Mane Diperate Chagame Charuanagahane Gehawatum Hikete Bumma Chayam Tudewa Jalatala Visame Yakagandhabanaga Titanta Sandikeyam Munivara Vachanang Sato Me Sunantu Dhamma Savanakalo Ayam Badantam Dhamma Savanakalo Ayam Badanta Dhamma Savanakalo Ayam Badanta. From around the galaxies may the devas come here. May they listen to the Dhamma of the King of Sages leading to heaven and emancipation. Those in the heavens of sensuality and form, on peaks and mountain precipices, in palaces floating in the sky, in islands, countries, and towns, in groves of trees and thickets, around home sites and fields, And the earth devas, spirits, heavenly minstrels and nagas, in water, on land, in badlands and nearby, may they come and listen with approval as I recite the words of the excellent sage. This is the time to come and listen to the Dhamma, venerable ones. This is the time to listen to the Dhamma, venerable ones. This is the time to listen to the Dhamma, venerable ones. So we ask that the spirit beings, the dragons, the fairies, the minstrels, the earth and water and sky and light, devas, support us in our practice. We ask also that the ancestors of our bloodlines, whose homes were far away, whose homes are now near us, whose lives were troubled or blessed or both, that our ancestors who are well enough to support this path be here to support us, and those who themselves need healing and are not well, may they be cared for by their own ancestors, and may our circle here for practice be protected from all troubling energy and all difficult spirit forces. May we be protected and safe. May the Dhamma uplift our hearts and uplift the hearts of all spirit beings present nearby, and may all beings be free. All right, so the Dhamma is a couple hundred years old in North America, maybe at most. And the teachings that are present here at Vajrapani, coming through the Tibetan diaspora, the Tibetan tradition, and the teachings that I'll bring forward to you today from the Theravadan and the early Mahayana tradition, these teachings were brought to this continent by seekers, mostly who traveled to Asia to study in the longtime home countries of these disciplines. So I want to honor my direct teachers, Jack Kornfield, Sylvia Borstein, Gil Fronsdal, in the Insight Meditation tradition. Their teachers, Ajahn Chah and Mahasi Sayadaw from the Thai and Burmese traditions. In the Ajahn Chah tradition, I'm blessed to know and be able to learn from wonderful monastics like Ajahn Pasano, Ajahn Amaro, Ajahn Sucitto, Ajahn Brahm. These are all Western monastics in the Ajahn Chah lineage. Ajahn Chah is a Thai forest master from the mid-20th century who was the teacher of Jack Kornfield and many others, and then the teacher of all of these monastics I just named. I want to honor also my teachers Kittisaro and Tanisara, who were a monk and nun with Ajahn Chah and his students, and fell in love while in the monastery, celibate, never spending a moment alone together, and then jumped the wall. And have been teaching as a married couple for the last many decades. Blessings to them. And through Kittisaro and Tanisara, I've been blessed to be touched by the lineage of the great Chinese Chan master and Pure Land master, Master Hua of the City of 10,000 Buddhas in the Kuan Yin Dharmas, and so honor to that northern lineage as well. My practice began in Zen with the tradition of Joshu Sasaki Roshi in the Rinzai, and the Rinzai path, and honor to the sages of the Zen and Rinzai traditions for the wisdom they've brought forth through the ages. On the Burmese side, and don't worry about all these names, by the way, right? This is part of the ritual to just say them, so you might know some of them and you won't know some of them, and that's great, right? But these are the ancestors of the teachings, without whom they would not have come to us. So, on the Burmese side, the brilliant Reformed teacher Mahasi Sayadaw, who along with Goenka and a few others, really revived and invented a new intensive mindfulness practice for lay people, for non-monastics. These practices were invented partly in response to the British colonial occupation and as a desperate attempt to save the Dharma from what might have happened if it had stayed locked in a few small monasteries through the course of the colonial period. As a result of their work, these the teachings of vipassana that became mindfulness now everywhere in the world were not just preserved, but really developed and changed and evolved as they met the new psyches and traumas and cultures that they encountered. And I was blessed to be ordained as a monk for a short period with one of Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw's students, Ujjanaka Sayadaw, Chemye Sayadaw. Honor to that lineage as well. So that's a whole bunch of Buddhists that I really love, and some of what I say will come directly from them or through me from them. In addition, I want to honor the tradition of Neem Karoli Baba Maharaji, whose teachings came to the West through Ramdas, Krishnadas, and who informed the chanting practice, the kirtan practice that we'll share a bit here. And the great Southern Indian yoga tradition through Venerable Krishnamacharya, whose students of students I have studied with and been blessed to study with, and bring the, again, very evolved tradition of postural yoga practice and veneration of the Yoga Sutras into a kind of mysterious and vibrant meeting with the Buddhist tradition. So honor to the Krishnamacharya lineage and all that they've brought forward here. Lastly, just a couple of other teachers in the profound and newer lineage of authentic movement. My grandmother teacher Janet Adler recently passed, and in the trauma resolution work that I think is central to the healing that so many of us need and benefit from, my teacher Peter Levine. So honor to all of the teachers in the lineage, and again honor to the mysterious process of the colonial encounter and the goodness that has come out of that, and that our practice may uplift that goodness and heal the harms of that process at the same time. May our lives be a process of healing and restoration of right relationship on the earth between all of these peoples. All right, so we're here on retreat. Welcome to retreat. How many folks are new to a silent retreat of this length? Have not done a silent retreat of like 5 days or so. All right, welcome. How many folks are new to an all-queer retreat? Welcome. Beautiful. Retreat is both mysterious and really ordinary. The ordinary part first. We're just at camp. You're just at summer camp. You're in dorms or cabins or tents, and you come to the mess hall, and you get some mess, some food, and there's activities. They're mostly really quiet at this particular camp. So that's the ordinary part. We're just a bunch of folks living together for a few days. And in the living together, there's a kind of ordinary wisdom transmission. There's a kind of ordinary deepening. You see the same people walking on the trails. You talk to folks after lunch. Friendships get to be revived, or new friendships made in the talking periods. In that sense, it's a space that's ordinary in its social setting a little bit. You've been to something like this before. You've been to a conference or a camp. But it's also quite extraordinary. And I think it's extraordinary because we share the kinds of intentions that we shared in the opening here. That each of us are here to find or deepen or expand on something in ourselves, to touch something of the mystery of this life together. It's extraordinary because there's not that many places in most of our cultures where we spend time really in silence together. And the silence is pure magic. Like all good magic, it's difficult. So that's fine if it's difficult. But also, like all really good magic, it doesn't work if you break it. Like any other magic spell. It's an interesting magic spell. Mostly in magic spells you say things. In this magic spell you don't say things. It's not entirely true. We're going to say a lot of magic spells. I'll say a bit about the chanting in a moment. But the magic of silence is that we are invited to be together in a very different way than our habits and our norms. And this can both be, it can be difficult, interesting, an exploration. It can be a beautiful and sometimes very strange way to be together, especially if you're not used to it, or you've come on just a few of these things. In North American culture, we're very habituated to certain kinds of social contact. The ways that we say hello, the ways that we nod to each other or make eye contact or don't make eye contact, but say a little something. And so much of how we spend time together is filtered through speaking together. The kinds of stories we tell, how we talk to each other. And it's both mysterious and I think often very intimate to spend time in silence together. To figure out how to trust that it's really okay to stand or sit right next to somebody and not have to say anything to them. Please don't. While we're in silence, I'll say a bit about the structure of the day. We're going to come in and out of silence here. But I want to first just encourage you to embrace the practice of silence as one of the core disciplines of retreat. And that the other exercises that we do are held in that silence. The silence is almost like an insulation or a little protective bubble around the practices. And you'll find that whatever practice you're used to doing, being with the breath, being with the body, being mindful of thoughts or feelings, that it's different and heightened in a certain way when it's held in this field of silence and the company of others. It's also true that silence together is really different than silence alone. Maybe you live alone and you're like, I'm in silence a lot. It's not the same. We are creating already a circle in the room of an uplifted energy. You're not alone here, right? You look out of the room and say, wow, there's a lot of people here, right? You're not alone here. But when we enter silence, there's a kind of alone together. And alone together is a really mysterious state. So get curious about it. Explore it. What's that like? The instructions that I'll give, coming roughly from the insight meditation tradition, the Vipassana tradition, will be centered around becoming more present with the body, becoming more present with feeling, with the energies of both emotion and other kinds of energies throughout the body-mind. In a very simple way, we could think of the instructions as being something like, take what you find in the thinking mind, the often overactive words and images, cognitive, narrative mind. See them for what they are, notice them, be present with them, and then see what feeling underlies them. Because the heart of the Dharma is to understand why life is difficult, to understand suffering, to understand pain, difficulty, and then to know what to do, how to discipline in the best way our attention and our energy so that the inevitable losses and painful aspects of life are not actually suffering. To actually understand that suffering is a reaction to difficulty, but it's not, that life itself is not actually intrinsically difficult. To do this, we have to come into intimate contact with everything. And I shouldn't tell you this on the first night, but that includes the painful things. This is a camp for not avoiding yourself. And if your life has included some amount of avoiding yourself, which of course it does, you've survived in late stage capitalism. What are you going to do? You have to figure that out. And that includes some amount of getting by. But retreat is, some of the magic of retreat is saying, I'm not going to do that. For a few days, I want to be here with everything that's here. So the stories, see what feeling is there beneath them, motivating them, pushing them. And then feelings, where do they live in the body? So if, in a very simple way, you could think body, heart, mind, find the mind in feeling, or find the feelings that are woven through mental activity, and then find the feelings in the body. So we keep dropping down into the body, dropping back into the animal body on the earth in this place with these forces around us, in this circle of good people. So all of the instructions will, in some way, be inviting us toward that intimacy. And that's why we offer a schedule to move through, so you don't have to think about what to do next. That's why we offer the profound discipline of silence. And on this retreat, we'll offer the integrative discipline of moving from silence into optional speaking and then back into silence. So this is a group formed out of a long-term group of friends, and connection is, in the DNA of this beautiful group. And so your friends, here are your friends, some of them. And so connection is profoundly important, and it's how you stitch together the wisdom and inquiry that arises in your silent practice with your life in community and in friendship. So it's going to go a little bit like this. In a little while tonight, we're going to enter silence in a formal way. We'll do some chanting. We'll say some invocations. We'll set up the container, the holding container of silence, and we'll maintain that silence until lunch. And each day at lunchtime, which is 12:30, I think, we will 12:30. Right before lunch, we'll break silence. And again, breaking silence will be optional. So, but there will be the opportunity then during lunch and for the hours after lunch. And there will be some activities after lunch led by different folks to speak with each other. I'll say a little bit more about speaking as we go on, but the general guideline is the same as the instructions I just named. See if you can stay present in the heart, present in the body. So if the mind starts to race into like what I want to say or who I want to connect with or who I don't want to connect with or whatever, drop into the heart. And if the heart's getting stirred up, or even if it's not, drop into the body. See if you can feel your body while you're speaking, while you make eye contact. At 4:30 each day, we'll come back into silence. Wherever you are, there'll be a bell, and we'll come in here for our daily Q&A discussion time. The Q&A is an opportunity to ask any practice questions. I do group Q&A in retreats like this instead of individual interviews, partly because we learn so much from hearing other people's questions. And sometimes I'll ask you if you want to explore something a little more, and maybe we'll have a little exchange, do a little work in the present. And you can always pass and not do that, of course. But we'll have that Q&A time. Once we start that at 4:30, we'll go back into silence. We stay in silence through the evening, through the night, through the next morning till lunch. So the talking period is 12:30 to 4:30. And during that talking period, we ask that all indoor spaces, this hall, the dining hall below, the library, the bookstore, everything in this building, the dorms, the lodge, the gompa, the Chenrezi gompa, any indoor space stays silent. So if you want to go back to your room and nap, it's a quiet space. If you want to come up here and sit or do yoga or read, it's a quiet space. I'll say something about reading in a second. I'll discourage you from reading, but I also won't police your reading. So, so the inside spaces will stay silent for practice and rest. And then talking can be outside. So you can bring your lunch outside, talk to folks. Every morning at 9, there's a sitting with instruction. That's where I'll give the main meditation instruction for the day. So please do come to that. That'll also be, at the end of that sitting, we'll give any manager announcements or any sort of logistical things that are needed for the day. And then generally, the schedules are posted, and I think you all have one. Here's how I feel about schedules. It's a bit like for whom and for when. Like, the schedules are really helpful for some folks and not that helpful for other folks. If you're one of those folks who thinks that the schedule is not helpful for you, consider, that might be true, but consider that it might be more helpful for you than you think, for the very reason that you think it's not helpful for you. But also that your presence keeping the schedule is very helpful for others. And so my encouragement here is to keep the schedule. So when it's time to sit, come and sit. When it's time to go and walk, go and walk. During the walking meditations, do walking meditation. It's weird and awkward, and it doesn't feel as dramatic as sitting. So you're going to be tempted to go for tea, things like that. Do the walking meditation. It's really good. It's such a beautiful practice, and it grows on you. So if you think you don't like it, do it more and see. So my encouragement is to do all of the things on the schedule, and if it's really the right thing for you to do something else in silence, particularly resting. So if it's right for you to go back and have a nap, particularly on the first day, sometimes I will do that. So that's on you, adults, to tend yourself within the schedule, within the knowing that the more of us that really observe the rhythm of the day, the more it creates a field of being able to do it for everyone. Because everyone has a sitting at some point where the bell rings and you're like, I don't want to go. Like every morning my kid is like, I don't want to go to school today. And we're like, yeah, get your shoes on. And so, in retreat, you get to understand something about how you parent yourself and how you discipline yourself. And I love the word discipline. It is a discipline to come to retreat, to come to the sittings, to do the walking, to follow the schedule, to try to do the instructions and return again and again from the distractions that pull the mind away, pull the attention. The word discipline comes from the same root as the word disciple. You're a disciple of something. What does it mean to be a disciple of something? I think here we become a disciple of silence. We become a disciple of the clear heart. And that means that we do things that are sometimes blissful and sometimes not what we want to do at all. But we do it in service of deepening in love, deepening in presence. And this is a kind of reparenting. There is a way that sometimes I just have to say to myself, like, come on, little one, we're going and sitting again. And my little inner 8-year-old or 5-year-old or 45-year-old or whatever he is on that day is like, and I'm like, yeah. Put your shoes out the door. Get your butt on the cushion. So, it's my encouragement toward that. Every day we'll do some chanting. In the early morning, at the end of the morning sitting, and as part of the evening sitting. I love chanting, which you will find out shortly enough. Some of you will not. Some of you already do. Some of you may fall in love with it while we are here. If chanting's not your thing, I don't need you to try it on. You can if you want. You all have a chanting sheet on your cushion. We'll do this same series of chants every day, so you'll learn them. You're welcome to just meditate through it and think of it as like, I'm just sitting in the temple and people are doing this thing. Or you're welcome to read them and follow along, sing them, learn to chant them, explore that. Chanting is one of the most ancient of the practices. It's more ancient than Vipassana. It's more ancient than any of the reinventions of the tradition that we've done. These melodies have been sung in more or less this way for 2,500 years, and they come from a very ancient lineage of using the syllables of a sacred language to invoke something that is beyond rational comprehension. The ancient language of Pali, which these chants are in, most of the ones we do, like its sibling Sanskrit, was considered a sacred language, and that means that the chants are a kind of magic spell. They have a potency to them. And if you don't like words like magic and spell, I don't know about you, but no, if that's like not your jam, then you might think of it this way: these chants are being sung at this very moment, and almost every moment of the day, given time zones and all that, by thousands of people all around the world in exactly the same way, and that has got to do something. Thousands of people saying the same words at the same time over and over and over. Not a day goes by in the thousands and thousands of monasteries, just in this one tradition that I'm bringing forward to you here, where these are not chanted again and again. And so, try them on. Did I just say that I wasn't going to ask you to try them on? Try them on. So we'll do a little bit of that in the morning and evening. If you need more light for that, particularly in the morning, kind of raise a hand or indicate that. Or, I don't know, we can kind of anarchy the light switches as long as that doesn't get too crazy. But make sure you have light to read by. You can also bring in a little headlamp for the early morning if you want. All right, in the mid-morning, I'm going to lead a little movement practice, a little yoga practice. And we'll do it by kind of pushing aside the rectangular cushions, the zabatons. You can probably leave the middle chairs where they are. And there should be enough room in front of your places, everyone, to do some movement practice. I don't need you to have yoga mats. We're not going to do downward dog or anything that requires pushing against a mat. We'll do some standing poses. Mostly the yoga that I offer will be around moving energy through the body. We'll work with breath and some pretty simple postural movements, and anything you can modify. You can sit down for most of it. I'll offer some variations, and you're welcome to do the movement practice in whatever way works for your body. And we'll kind of figure that out as we go along. The last thing I want to say about retreat and the practices that we'll do here is that the heart of Buddhist meditation work, which is really called bhavana, which means transforming or becoming or bringing into being. That's the word that's usually used for the practices we might call meditation. Bhavana is maybe a good translation of it is cultivation. So what are we cultivating? And we're here in the container of silence in this beautiful place with some protective structures, devotional structures. So now you're in a lovely container. What do you do in here now that you're here? I talked about this basic practice of coming out of the mental into enlivening the mental with understanding the heart or the emotional presence, and then enlivening or understanding the emotional life through bringing it into the body and understanding ourselves as embodied beings, embodied feeling beings, because it's in feeling where the suffering lives. It's really in suffering in a certain way is a confused emotional response to the challenges of having an animal body that hurts and people you love die, and there's so much that's difficult about being in the world with a body. That includes all of the relational challenges. It includes the whole social, political realm. All of that is a byproduct of being these 8 billion human bodies charging around, crashing into each other, and then all the animals and all the spirit beings swirling around. Suffering is a byproduct of being alive in a very complex situation. But the Buddha found out for himself this mysterious, subtle method, path, something like that. He said it was like finding an overgrown path in the forest that no one had walked for centuries, completely overgrown, and clearing that path and finding an ancient city that had once been glorious but was now overgrown. Rediscovering an ancient city. The city is something like well-being. He found a way to profound well-being that had been forgotten. And the idea is that it gets forgotten over and over because time has no conceivable beginning. And every once in a while, after a while of it's been forgotten, somebody, some brilliant person, finds that path in the forest and rediscovers it. And it's subtle and it's not easy because it goes against the stream of every culture. It says, the things you think will make you happy can't really make you happy. The relationship you want, it's temporary. Old age, sickness, and death takes us all. The wealth that you're working so hard to accumulate, it's useful for a few minutes, really. And then it's gone. And the youth that was so marvelous, wasn't it? Sort of. Some of it was, right? But not to romanticize. It was also really challenging, and anyway, where is it now? Whatever you think of it, whatever part of it you want back, sorry. So the Buddha starts with this fierce truth. What one of my friends the other day called an offensive message. The message of the Dharma is an offensive message. That which you think will make you happy won't. And that which you think is kind of miserable, silence, letting go, having less, is actually the path to happiness. So how do we do this? What is the discipline here? What the Buddha brought forward, he is called the Dhamma or the Dharma. Dhamma is the Pali word, Dharma is the Sanskrit version, the same word. And there's a lot. He was blessed to teach for 45 years after his awakening, and he left a beautiful body of teachings that have been preserved, that were preserved in oral tradition and then in writing very, very skillfully. The great legacy of the texts. The practice that we'll do is based on a very important text at the heart of the Buddha's Dhamma called the Foundations or the Establishment of Mindfulness. The word mindfulness is a little trite now, so whatever for the word mindfulness. That was some British scholars trying to translate a difficult word. The word for mindfulness in Pali is sati, and it's a feminine word, pointing to a quality of embodied, intimate presence that we can enliven in any moment with a kind of with a discipline of like direct, contactful attention. Mindfulness is a kind of attention. It's a way of attending to or being with what's happening. And the instructions on mindfulness are very specific, actually. They don't just say, be present with everything all the time. They say, in a very specific sequence, come into contact with the body, understand movement and activity, understand how the body is composed of the same elements as everything around it, and how it's just made up of parts, and how you identify with these parts. You know, my hair, my body hair, my skin, my nails, my teeth, my stomach, my spleen, my organs, all my bodily fluids. There's a list of things. You reflect on this list, and you're like, it's just a bunch of parts. And then you remember death. You think of a corpse if you've seen one, or you imagine one. And you remember that this body will die sooner or later, and we don't know when, and it will become as bodies do. The process continues into the understanding of the fundamental charge that underlies all emotions. The way that every experience is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. It moves into understanding energies and emotions in the body. And then really gives us frameworks for analyzing and being wise about ongoing experience. So we're going to touch into several of these layers as we go forward, starting with grounding in the body and always returning to the body and feeling. And so with this as our practice basis, the heart then of retreat practice is mindfulness, which I want to now translate as intimacy. Mindfulness is intimacy. When there's a sensation in my hip that's unpleasant, become intimate with it. Don't just I'm observing the pain in my hip from a convenient distance, about 2.5 feet away. I'm thinking about it. That's not mindfulness. That's not sati. Sati is to make contact. Aching feels like this. And when it feels like this is how my heart is. This is what it's like, and it's churning and it's unfolding, When I go outside and I see something gorgeous, which is going to happen all the time because we're in a gorgeous place. Oh, the redwood tree, the beautiful stupa, a songbird, the garden with flowers and the bees buzzing. It's not mindfulness just to be like, oh, that's pretty. It's mindfulness to be intimate with that. Oh, smelling. Wow. Right. And even the wow is like, okay, what is that? What is that? There's an energy where if we meet the world with an intimate gaze not just through the eyes but through all of the senses, the world meets us back, and there can be a kind of understanding, right? Because with the pleasant things, I walked into the garden over at the Geshe house earlier today. It's stunning, filled with bees, right? It's all flowers and things, and my mind went, wow, gorgeous. And then it said, I wish my garden was this nice. And so when you do that, because you do that, it's natural, it's built into having a mind and living in culture. When you do that, you be intimate with that. oh, comparing is like this. Wanting is like this. And what's that feeling? How did I jump or fall or slide or whatever it is from delight into like not having a good enough garden? No blame, right? Like, don't get down on yourself. What you want to do is you want to understand that that's suffering. That's being not satisfied in this life. Oh, that guy's eyes look more peaceful than mine feel. You know? Like, oh, be intimate with that. You know, oh, feeling less than. Or, that guy's eyes look really kind. I want to get closer to those eyes. Wanting. Intimate with wanting. So the heart of our practice will be to meet each moment with an intimate, contactful attention. And as practice deepens, you bring that intimate, contactful attention to more and more aspects of experience, including working our way toward the deeper layers that appear, the layers of wanting and fearing and judging that animate who we think we are, and even the sense of being who I think I am. That's suffering, let me tell you. You know that. But how do you be intimate with that? When the concept "I'm like this" shows up, see it. Oh, you know, how do you be intimate with that? So that's our practice, sati, the practice of intimate, contactful attention. We can only do that if the heart finds its way to kindness for ourselves, compassion for all the traumas, everything that brought us here. So be kind to yourself. It's not a race. It's not a competition. And it's a blessing to be together. And everyone here, human and non-human, is here to support you in deepening in this intimacy with all things. All right. So, we're going to enter the formal container of our retreat and then get off to bed here. So, there's one little ritual entrance and then one further setting of intention that we always do at the beginning of retreat. And this is called the taking of refuges, or the going for refuge, and the taking of the 5 lay precepts. The refuges are one of the most ancient ritual traditions in the Buddhist world. It includes the chanting or saying to ourselves in a ritualized way that we understand that the things we usually grasp onto in the world are part of what we are setting down for the moment in retreat, and that we're turning toward forces that can support us to deepen in this intimacy and this aliveness that we're seeking. Those forces that support us are called Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the 3 gems or jewels. Buddha is the Buddha, so that's the historical Buddha, the one who established this lineage, the teacher. And it's also a way of talking about all of the teachers that have brought this lineage forward over the many, many centuries. And because we all have the potential to be free in us, it's also a way to honor the truth of wakefulness that is always available, and that's available for any of us. The second of the gems is the Dhamma in Pali, or Dharma in Sanskrit. This is specifically the teachings of the Buddha. More broadly than that, it's the whole body of wisdom teachings. The way that the creek sings a wisdom teaching, the frogs sing a wisdom teaching, if you can listen to it. The way that your partner, when they have to talk to you about something at midnight that's difficult, is bringing forward a wisdom teaching. The Dhamma is everything that teaches us. And it's the truth that is present in all things. And the last, the Sangha, is the spiritual community, the community of, specifically of the Buddha's community. So this is an invitation to feel at home in the communities of Buddhists that are around. And then more broadly than that, the Sangha of beings who are supportive in our path, the supportive ancestors, the supportive spirits, the Sangha of the trees and rivers. So we'll go for refuge to this triple jam. I'll sing them in Pali and we'll say them in English. And then we will do the chanting in Pali and English of the 5 lay precepts. This is the last of our protective spells that we cast around the retreat. They are the basis of the ethical practice, and they are a promise to take care of each other in our relationships while we're here, and to take care of the other beings that are present on the land. The 5 lay precepts are to not take life, to not take that which isn't offered to you, to not commit sexual misconduct, to not lie or use harsh speech, and to not take intoxicants that dull the mind. These are all invitations to practice bringing that same contactful intimacy to our actions and our words. So they will become present for you when you're in the speaking time, and you're like, oh, now I'm practicing, the 4th precept of wise speech. How do I do that? But they're present in how we deal with the non-human creatures here, the tiny, vulnerable creatures, other people's things. And they're a reflection on how everything in our life is interwoven. So we take those precepts and they're part of understanding that we're making a safe container for ourselves here to be together. So you can leave your stuff somewhere and it'll still be there. You can trust that your energy in your life is honored and cared for here. So we take that. So we'll chant those 2 together, and having done so, we will formally enter silence, and then we'll close for the night. We'll sleep. We'll hear a bell at 6 a.m, and we'll come in at 6:30 for the first sitting. So for this first night, just the invitation to enjoy the evening air, to drop into the silence together, and to feel the circle of intention and practice that we create together. So the refuges and precepts are in your chanting sheet, and they are on page 5, so the back of the second page there. Does anyone need light to read these? Probably, yeah. Jeff, would you give us reading light here? So the Pali words for the refuges are Buddhang, Saranang, Gacchami. And we'll do them 3 times. The second one has Dutiyampi, means for the second time. And the third one, Tatiyampi, for the third time. And there's a little closing line, Tisarana Gamanang Nititang. So I'll sing them in Pali and then in English. And you're welcome to, and please sing along, or hum along, and don't worry about your voice. It's not what it's about. Or be intimate with that assessment should it come up. And then we'll sing the 5 precepts together. Again, first in Pali, and then we'll speak them in English. I'll take a moment in silence to let all the words settle. Feel your body, where you're sitting. Feel the posture. Let the face relax, the jaw. And for a moment, listen to the silence between these words. Feel the silence as a field of safety and brightness that we enter together with love for each other, compassion for difficulty, celebration of joy. And feel the intimacy that's already here. We enter the circle of retreat, turning away from that which cannot offer reliable happiness, turning to ourselves and the heart and the path, and the support of that which shows the way to peace, to clarity, to profound love for ourselves and all things. We honor, we go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha together. So I'll chant these and just join in and we'll sing them all together. Buddhaṃ saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tisarana-gamanam nititam. To the Buddha, I go for refuge. To the Dhamma, I go for refuge. To the Sangha, I go for refuge. For the second time, to the Buddha, I go for refuge. For the second time, to the Dhamma, I go for refuge. For the second time, to the Sangha, I go for refuge. For the third time, to the Buddha, I go for refuge. For the third time, to the Dhamma, I go for refuge. For the third time, to the Sangha, I go for refuge. We have gone for refuge to the triple chant. Sing the 5 precepts and the closing invocation to the precepts in Pali, and then again we'll speak the English. Let's actually do these call and response because they're a little harder. I'll do a couple words at a time and then you sing them back. Panatipata Vajrapani, Panatipata Vajrapani, Sikapatang Sammadhiyami, Sikapatang Sammadhiyami, Adinadana Vajrapani, Adinadana Vajrapani, Sikapatang Sammadhiyami, Sikapatang Sammadhiyami, Kame Sumichachara, Kame Sumichachara, Vajrapani Sikapatang Sammadhiyami, Vajrapani Insititute Sammadhiyami. Musawada Vajrapani. Musawada Vajrapani Insititute Sammadhiyami. Insititute Sammadhiyami. Sura Meraya Vajrapamadhatana. Sura Meraya Vajrapamadhatana. Vajrapani Insititute Sammadhiyami. Vajrapani Insititute Sammadhiyami. Idam me silam. Idam me silam. Magapalanyanasa. Magapalanyanasa. Pachayo hotu. Pachayo hotu. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness. By the discipline of ethics, may I realize the path and fruit of our practice. So we've entered the field of silence together, the field of practice, of cultivation. We feel the resonance or the result of chanting the refuges and precepts, just of our whole evening entering the circle together. And we close with the invocation of loving kindness for ourselves and others. Bring to the heart a feeling of friendliness, of kindness, benevolence. And just let that kindness shine out from the heart and the body to fill this room. Whatever gratitude you may have for being here through the tiredness and the end of the first arriving day. Shine out a kindness for everyone here. And feel that that field of kindness includes you. Swirl your own kindness around your own body and heart. Loving this one here and all these here together. And then all together we invite the field of benevolence to expand through the walls of the temple out into the night, touching all the beings nearby, human and non-human, in form and beyond form, near and far, as far out as your imagination can touch. Resting in the field of kindness. May our practice be for our own benefit and the benefit of all beings. May we unfold the heart of kindness and the mind of clarity. May our intention for well-being grow and deepen, and our actions to care for each other grow and deepen, so that our very lives become a blessing for all we meet. May our practice this week be a seed of infinite wakefulness, love, and freedom for ourselves, for all beings everywhere. And we'll close our evening together. We are enveloped in the silence and our shared warmth of heart. So enjoy your rest, sleep well, and we'll see you in the morning.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.